Okay, so we're live. It's like no confirmation here, so I'm not certain. How are you doing, guys? How are you doing? So, some just a unusual day today because I actually went to a restaurant and actually sat in a restaurant and got served and had dinner. It was like the first time I've done that in 4 months. So I kind of forgot how to do that. So Um, hold on. I can't see the videos yet. So I don't know who's. I can't see comments yet. So hold on a second. Something is wrong here. Hello, Great Gold Magic Rat Adult Beverage Friday. Yes, still Silent Duck. Hello, guys. So yeah, it was kind of you know different experience because I kind of forgot about that. I actually went on lockdown before anyone else did. I'm kind of a prepper, so I locked down, at the beginning of March, and then I unlocked myself down, in June, and started going sailing because I said enough. So I've done that, and I've been on my boat. That's why you can see I'm getting a lot of sun here because I'm always outside getting some sun. So hello, Iron Fist, Pat's fan. Hello, Pat's fan. First, last, lax. Was that lax leaf, lax lifters? I went last week. Great to be out. Is WeChat? All social media is the same. Just don't use your real name. Uh, the thing about social media apps is if it's not Facebook and anything owned by Facebook, it's kind of a special danger. But otherwise, if you don't use your real name and use the proper precautions, then it's the same as anything else. So it can be okay if you use pseudo anonymity. So hello, Starlight. My goodness, Starlight, I haven't seen you in a long time. Asian Tech Dad. Okay, so the title. Let me just explain the title to you. You know, so you understand what the context is, because I'm getting a lot of messages on Braxme. In fact, I will be honest with you, it's overwhelming now, the number of messages, and I'm not able to respond to everyone in a timely manner anymore because it's just too. I didn't realize it would grow this fast, and I try to respond to every comment on YouTube, and I try to respond to every single message on Braxme, and I'm gonna tell you, it's up to the point that it's impossible. I mean, I'm responding to people till 3 a.m. and it's incredible how this channel has grown, and I've kind of I'm overwhelmed. So I've kind of decided that some days I'll just take a day off because I don't get many of those, and I just don't answer anything, and that's typically on Thursdays. Right after my video, I disappear for a few hours, and I said, I'm gonna go to my boat and just relax because it's just too much. So who knows? This is something that I just discovered because I've never known that this channel would grow so fast, and it's now that it has, it's showing up in thousands of messages, and it's impossible to respond. Impossible. And Origin Carlson here is one of the ones that leaves all these big messages to me and constant, and I just Origin Carlson, I can't, sorry, it's just impossible to do it. It's just impossible. Now, the reason I made this title is because some of you shut down. You actually become so dependent on what I say that you don't do anything until I say something. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to kind of relax and prioritize, and seeing that life doesn't end. You got to do it step by step. But especially for those people who've gotten the phone. So they get the phone and they start saying, well, should I connect this to Wi-Fi? Should I download this app? Should I do? And everyone's like on this mode where we're gonna hold everything. We're gonna shut down life because I don't know what to do to keep this de-Googled phone safe. So again, the de-Googled phones are obviously very popular, and I'm like going crazy trying to ship those to you, and with difficulty. Obviously difficulty keeping it in stock, but I'm gonna tell you just a fun little thing for you to know, and I'll get to that in a moment. But in the meantime, I went to the restaurant, had a few drinks, had some margaritas. Well, I went to a Mexican restaurant, had some margaritas, and I'm feeling like I'm in a good mood. Hello, King Sing. So I feel like in a good mood, and we're gonna square away your life, and you don't have to worry. You gotta relax, even with hacking and all that. Hacking your de-Google phones, and the world isn't gonna end if you follow a few little things from me. So some of you are so concerned that you're actually afraid to transfer your SIM card from your existing phone into a de-Googled phone. You're afraid. You're shut down. Considering how many of these phones I've shipped out, I mean, there's so many of you like sitting there. It's like, I don't know what to do. Okay, so again, welcome. No, I am not drunk, Silent Doc. That's not. I didn't have enough for that. I need more for that. Oh, at least I'm seeing the comments now on the side here. Count Cosmic Rose. Let's see. Now, what with, let's see. What comment did I miss here? Hello from Mexico, Edgar. You didn't get the notifications. Why not? I just finished learning JavaScript. Okay. Okay. So, let me just tell you something. Kind of the good news. The good news is when you get the Google phone, you basically disappear. You don't have to worry about the Google phone at all. You can do whatever you want. Not Facebook. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp aside, that's a different animal, okay? But forgetting about Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, you really don't have to worry about anything when you have a de-Googled phone or a Linux phone, whatever you get from me. Linux phone, de-Googled phone. But you do not have to worry about anything. Seriously. Now, some of you worry about your phone number, and we'll talk about that. But seriously, when you get a de-Googled phone, you can kind of free yourself. When I use a de-Googled phone, my immediate reaction is like, I have never been this free in my life. I feel like, when John Smith, thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. When I thank you, John Smith, when I have a de-Googled phone, when I first built myself a de-Googled phone, and I thought about it, it's not just about building these phones, by the way. You have to really think about it. Like, what did I get from this? And one of the things that you need to understand about a de-Googled phone is the phone is not necessarily disconnected from Google directly, since you're downloading apps and such from Google. But it doesn't connect to your device. This is the thing that you need to understand. Google doesn't know about your device because you're going to the Aurora store and Micro G. So basically, it's Aurora and Micro G talking to Google. The phone itself has no Google. So some of you say, well, will this phone learn about my IMEI, my IMSI, and whatever identifiers you have on the phone, your device ID, your device fingerprint? No. In fact, on Aurora Store and on Micro G, you can actually specify that the device could actually be spoofed to be a different phone. You can actually say there, oh, this is not really a Motorola G7. It's actually an iPhone. You can actually specify that in there. So the spoofing can actually spoof even the device. So you don't really have to worry about it at all. As long as you don't have Google Play Store in there, there is no Google code, nothing to send the code to Google. There is no contact tracing. It doesn't matter what Google's sending out for contact tracing updates on Android. That's not going to get to you. Not going to get to you. It doesn't exist on a Google phone. You don't have to worry about that. Security updates, that's fine, but you're not going to get contact tracing updates. That doesn't exist. You're not going to get any kind of Wi-Fi scanning. Google does not know that who owns the phone, so it actually is not able to determine if you know what your device ID is, your IMEI, and all that. And there's not any kind of Google login at all. So basically, when you get a Google phone, relax, just use it. And the only thing you got to worry about is actually a separate topic, and that is two-factor authentication. That's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to separate that as a completely different issue from the phone itself. Once you get a Google phone, it's like a new life. New life. You don't have to worry about being tracked. None of that matters. There's no identity. And you can relax. You don't have to panic and say, what do I do? Should I connect to Wi-Fi? Who cares? Now, yes, there are other things you need to worry about, like your IP address and all that. But if you're not doing anything yet, if this is a new phone and you just got it, nothing's happening yet. See, so we're going to talk in detail about that in a moment. Okay, so let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. What if I have the Pico Google services? What the zuck is that? I don't know what a Pico Google service is. You need to use Micro G. They're coming out with a post-market OS for orders in July. I don't know what that is about. Is there Android OS for Apple? No, Zuck, no. If you have an iPhone, sorry. The best, let me tell you the best use of an Apple device, because I have an iPhone, and I have a very good use for my iPhone. And you know what I use my iPhone for? It has no SIM card. My iPhone is at home only, and it's really my two-factor authentication device. It's connected to Google Voice. It doesn't have a SIM card. It used to have a SIM card. I validated with Google Voice. Google Voice is installed on the phone, and it never leaves the house. And if I need two-factor authentication, it's going to call up Google Voice on the phone with no SIM card, and then it's just a notification. Then I take the number from there and I punch in the 2FA, and then I'm good to go. That phone is just sitting there, and I don't use it for anything related to that. I don't even use it for Kindle anymore. I used to use it for Kindle a lot, and now I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't really use it for anything. So you can use any kind of spare phone, even an old phone, and use it for two-factor authentication. I loaded Google Voice on it and then got rid of the SIM card, so the phone number no longer exists. And now, once you've validated two-factor authentication using Google Voice, then it will just send notifications via Google Voice to that device. And I used Ting.com to give me a SIM card for 1 month. I paid $10 and set it up, and now that's it. One shot, $10, and that device is my two-factor authentication without a real phone number anymore. It was a one-shot phone number, which I never used again. So basically, it's done. It's done. No phone numbers attached to the phone, and I always have two-factor authentication without a phone number. It's in one of my videos, and that's really what you should do. And two-factor authentication is a different thing than de-googling or anything like that, because it's just another level of invasion of privacy from everything else that's happening. So I'm going to give you a big picture, and then I'm going to try to answer all of your questions here if I missed it. Hold off your questions for a moment until I just talk to yourselves for a moment, and then hold off your questions because I won't be able to respond yet. But I want to just kind of give you a big picture of the threat. So the phone is number one threat because a phone actually tracks where you are at all times. It's tracking your identity because it knows who exactly owns the phone based on your Google ID and your credit card, or your Apple ID, and it knows, who you're in contact with because of location tracking that you cannot stop and there's no permissions for it. And all of that goes on a phone uh, can only be stopped when you dump that phone and go de-Googled with AOSP Android with no gaps, which is what I've been talking about for ages here. Okay? And once you do that, then you pretty much can relax because without gaps, Google Apps, there's no Google service for tracking your location. There's no Google service for doing contact tracing. There is no Google service period. In fact, not even authentication. Notifications, and not even Firebase. There's really nothing on the phone. If you install an app on a Google phone, it uses Aurora Store, and then the service goes through MicroG and spoofs your identity using MicroG to Google. So Google doesn't know anything other than the fact that it's talking to some fake identity on MicroG. So MicroG is actually sent from your phone, but MicroG will intercept so that the code isn't actually coming from a Google program, but from a MicroG program. So MicroG is like micro Google. So once that's done, there really is nothing you have to worry about on a phone as far as Google is concerned, because that's out of the picture. And that's where 90% of the tracking occurs, is on the phone. I'm going to say 70% of our privacy threats emanate from the phone, and the other part of the privacy threats come from your IP address, which is used to track you in so many ways. And again, that's solved by a VPN or VPN router or Brax router. And then the other part of it is your identity, which is tied to pseudo anonymity, meaning not using your real name in social media. You don't have to worry about it on Brax, though. Some of you are like, get so nervous about this that you actually change your name on BraxMe. BraxMe, it doesn't show up on Google. So you can't have an identity on BraxMe and have to worry that you're going to come up on Google. You're not. So don't worry about it on BraxMe. It's really an issue where somebody can Google you and tie your activity somewhere and say, okay, I've seen this identity before and I can find it on Google, and then attach a photo to it. None of that happens in BraxMe. So you don't really, you can, and it's obviously not a bad thing to always be pseudo anonymous anywhere, but don't freeze and don't panic and don't feel like you got to rush doing this, especially on a BraxMe that doesn't even show up on Google. So if you want to change your name on BraxMe, you can, and it's kind of a problem with people you've already talked to with a different identity, and then you change it. It's difficult to remember, but I guess eventually it'll, we'll figure it out. But you don't have to. It's not a high risk kind of place. You mostly need to concern yourself with sites that, whatever you post on there will show up on Google search. If you post something on Instagram, if you post something on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, all that will show up on the internet, but not on BraxMe because it's locked down. There's no open way to see BraxMe without logging in. So Google search engines and they're called bots. Bots can't go in and track that data, so you don't really have to worry about that. Okay. Now, so the main thing that you need to concern yourself with is really two-factor authentication. Aside from, I already mentioned IP addresses, which can be easily handled with a VPN. Two-factor authentication is such a very common question. I've been asked this, and the problem is really this. Two-factor authentication can be used by some companies to track you. It's not really, so much of a risk for small companies. It's really a risk for Facebook and Google. So you don't want Facebook and Google to know your real phone number. Well, obviously, the solution of Facebook is don't be on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, you know, leave Facebook. That's, I have nothing good to say about being on Facebook. There is nothing positive you can have being on Facebook. It's all negative. All negative. But let's talk about Google for a moment. Do I really want my real phone number to be accessible to Google where they can match identities and say, oh yeah, I this email address and this email address and this email address and this YouTube account, they're all connected because they all have the same phone number. Do I really want them to know that and then know exactly who the phone number is because they have a database of all the phone numbers and they can say, oh yeah, that's that's Rob's phone number. So in my case, I used a temporary phone number. I used, like I said, it's in one of my videos on 2FA, two-factor authentication. I set up a phone number using ting.com and $10. Used a SIM card, activated two-factor authentication using Google Voice. Google Voice accepted the number, and then I turned on notifications, and after that, I don't ever need the phone number again because I can always verify myself with Google authentication because I've authenticated myself on the computer. And so that's it. So, and I also added an email. I removed the phone number actually from the 2FA, so they will never call that number again, but they will use my email. So basically, Google Voice, which has no identity, is what I use for two-factor authentication. A lot of you, by the way, think you're calling me. I don't know exactly how people got my phone number, and then I realized that somebody was Googling some old stuff on the internet and finding phone numbers and thinking that you're actually calling my phone, and you're not. You're talking to Google Voice, and that's why I don't call you back, because it's not a real phone. I'm just getting messages on Google Voice, and I'm not going to call you back from Google Voice. So don't talk to me on the phone call. Some of you are calling me and thinking you can contact me by phone. You're not going to be able to contact me by phone. You're talking to Google Voice. I'm not going to call you with my real phone number. Talk to me on BraxMe, or, be patient because I can't respond to everyone on BraxMe because there's just too many of you. In any case, the point is that two-factor authentication is a different threat because it matches accounts. So if you have 5 different emails, one used for social media, one used for business, and so on Gmail, and Google's able to match them all and say these are all related accounts because they use the same phone number. And which is fine if it's a fake phone number, but if it's a real phone number, it's an issue. So I consider that a separate issue. It's not the same as the phone. When you get a Google phone, it really has nothing to do with 2FA. Nothing, because the phone itself has no identity. The phone has no identity. Google doesn't even know your phone number from the phone. This is not, when you have a standard Google phone, your phone is known to Google. It knows your IMEI, your IMSI, your phone number, and all that, and your Google ID. When you have a Google phone, it doesn't know any of that because there's nothing Google on it. So Google doesn't even know your phone number exists. When you have a Google phone, it doesn't know it. The only time that you really need to concern yourself with 2FA, two-factor authentication, is when you need to validate an account because you use a different account, in which case two-factor authentication is no longer tied to the phone. It's a separate issue. Separate issue. So don't panic. You get a Google phone, you're done. Now, separate issue. What about my IP address? VPN, Brax router, something. Okay? You don't have to use my products, anything. Okay? Some VPN. Obviously, Bytes VPN is from me, and hopefully you trust me enough to use my VPN. So there you go, Bytes VPN. Next, you talk about two-factor authentication. Either use a SIM card temporarily, or best yet, use your old phone as your Google Voice. Set it up with 2FA, and there you go. You now have a phone without a SIM card, and use that for two-factor authentication. And when you do these 3 steps, and then the final step is to remove your real name from social media, then that's a big chunk of the privacy puzzle. You're going to be very hard to spy on and to break into when you follow these steps. It doesn't, they're actually separate. They're not. They're separate issues. So if you do this, you'll be mostly okay. Now let me try to answer the questions now. So usually I'll allocate the next hour and something here to answering the questions. Okay. What about VPN add-ons? What is a VPN add-on? That concerns me. What is a VPN add-on? There's nothing to add on. What do you need to add on? My VPN has Pi-hole. It's optional. You can use the Pi-hole, ad blocking or not. Hello, European Confidence. What's the trick for getting a cheap Nexus 5 on eBay? I basically have limited ability now to get a Nexus 5. I may get one every 2 weeks. I mean, it's very rare to get a Nexus 5 now. So a Nexus 5 is no longer an easy solution. So I get one every 2 weeks. If you want one, stay in line, and I gotta get a good deal on them, because I'm not gonna pay $100 for a Nexus 5. It's an old phone. Okay, and one you get has old batteries, and they're all old. So yeah, Nexus 5 that's why the Google is the option right now, until a Pine phone is more stable with power management. Then we're gonna push the the Pine phone, but not yet. I'm not. Pine phone is good for people who are a little bit techie, but not for the average person yet. Let me see. Hello from EGY. Where's EGY? Should I be worried about it? It's what makes me vulnerable to being targeted. I did that interview. It's not detailed about the invasion of privacy. I want to know why our metadata matters so much. Okay, I switched from Verizon to AT&T just to go to SIM card backup on phone on Mint. Okay. Siobhan, your question is kind of like elementary there. Let's see. DMs can be read by Discord. Yes, of course. Come on, Discord. What's your point of using Discord? I mean, use Brax.me. What is the point of Discord? It's another place to publicly chat. So, anything private about it? Hell no. So, what exactly is the point? I don't know. Why are people going to Discord? What's so special about Discord? Just because gamers use it? It's think of it as public social media. Whatever you post there, somebody else will see. So sorry, I'm doing this backward here. I should go forward, but would you recommend Lineage OS? I always recommend Lineage OS as one of the recommended. What tips you would recommend to new users of Linux OS? Do you think these Linux phones will beat Google and Apple? Not yet. It's not there yet. It's just, I was contacted by another company that wants to make an Android phone with a hardware switch, meaning the same thing that the Linux guys were trying to do, but do it on Android. And that's kind of exciting if they can do it. But, there's some technical issues. I'm trying to give them some advice on what to do. The nice thing about Android is you can run apps that you can't run on Linux, and there's so many developers on Android, so Android always gets an advantage. But in any case, you should always manage your apps, and don't just think that you can install any kind of app on your phone, because the more apps you put in, the more risk you take. For example, somebody just mentioned Discord. Why Discord? What's so zucking special about Discord? Why are people on Discord? Well, because people are they're talking about some issues, so you go there. Is there some advantage to Discord? Hell no. Is there some disadvantage to Discord? Well, it's the same as being on Twitter. What's the difference? It's public. So, if you're going there because you expect something special, there's nothing special about it. It's the same as anything else. Open. Let's see. Your first, last. Hold on. I'm just can't keep up with some of these. Huge D Byte. Okay, huge D Byte. Chinese American lives matter. Well, every life matters, but I am not Chinese. So, if you're trying to attribute that to me, then it doesn't work. Okay. Yes, Discord is for gaming. Buying your router requires the Raspberry Pi as well. I sell it with a Raspberry Pi. But if you're in Europe or it's another country, then buy your own Raspberry Pi to save money. If you're in the US, it doesn't save you money. Just get my Pi with the router. Get my standard router with the Pi on it. It doesn't save you any money if you're in the US. I get them cheaper than you can get them. So you might as well just get it from me. Then it's just plug it in. Okay. Yes, I will admit that the Google phones are very popular, and I am shipping a lot of those, and sometimes it's very hard to ship them. There's a ton of them, and we have to flash them. It's not like we just take the phone and ship it to you. We got to go in there and spend a lot of time making each phone de-Googled. So there's a lot of time allocated to each phone. So we have kind of like a little factory here trying to do that, and a lot of you have gotten those phones, and we continue to, it's hard to even buy them, because I got to buy them in bulk, and it's very difficult to do that. I buy them in retail just like you do. Okay, so okay, I'm buying everything from you. Thank you, John Doe. You don't have to buy everything from me. I do this as a service. Some people say, well, I like to, flash my own the Google phone. And you can do that if you have the skill level and you have the patience, and you can do that, and I will try to help you. So, it's not about, me trying to prevent you from doing that. The more important thing is that we all get privacy. But if you're not able to do it, then I'm here to help. Can I change CPU on the Librem? No, Zach, no. Will you be doing more ham radio videos? I'd like to, but they're just, nobody's watching them. So, unfortunately, the demand for the other things kind of exceed that. In a sense, everything I do is kind of connected. One of the reasons I got into phones was because of my interest in RF radio frequency, because of my ham radio experience, and I did a lot of videos on mesh network from ham radio and all that, and things related to ham radio because of RF. And guess what? All the hacking things that go on with RF, all this Stingray and all that, they're all RF related. So that's why, might as well use my knowledge of RF to since I'm a ham radio guy, I understand RF, and I understand what can be done from a computer side to take your data from RF, and that's what the phone stuff is about. And if you understand what they can do to it, then you benefit. And it's, I'm fortunately, that's the knowledge that I have, aside from my cybersecurity knowledge, that kind of makes my channel unique, because I have these expertise and things that apply to a phone. Yes, I know you're talking about you cannot change the motherboard on a Zucking computer, Orjan. Do you recommend Graphene OS for Pixel 3a? If you want to do that, I have not been successful installing Graphene on anything. So some people have success on the Pixel 3a. I have not had any success on Pixel 3. Graphene OS is fine. I don't have any problem with Graphene OS at all. It's fine as a it's fine as a de-googled. It's fine. If you know how to do it, then you should do it. I like to be an investor on a company and partner with you. I don't have any company. It's just me. Just a little company here. Are there Linux distros we should avoid? Actually, no. Anything Linux is good. No. Some people say avoid Ubuntu because they track you. It's a little bit overstated. I use Ubuntu. They do track you. There's a little tracker, mostly because they want to count how many users they have. It's not that sophisticated. I mean, don't worry about it. It's not like it's not my perception of tracking in the sense of Google tracking you. They're just counting who's online using Ubuntu so they can get a sense of how many users they have. If you don't want to use it, use Debian. Manjaro is fine. What are you doing? Why are you not using Graphene OS? It's a choice of devices. Why should I use Graphene OS? It's not doing anything that I need to do. Graphene OS is doing the same thing I'm doing, which is using what is called Trouble Project ROM from Android. It's identical. They have to use the same exact thing. So that's the way Android is. There's a fixed thing called the Trouble Project, and you just use the same one. It's standard from Android, and all the new Androids are built to the same specs. The only difference between me and Graphene OS is basically that they do it on Pixel phones, and I do it on Motorola's. So it's a choice of phones, and I've specialized on what I feel are more inexpensive phones, and Graphene is using more expensive phones. That's about it. And if you go with eFoundation in the EU, it's again very similar. The only difference is they're using Samsung expensive phones, and I'm not. So if you want to use those phones, I don't have any problem with them. They're fine. So those are good solutions if you feel like you should do that. But with my selection of phones, which is a G7, a G7 Play, and a Google Pixel, I keep the cost down so you can have many phones. I don't want you to be investing big money in your phones, thinking that it should be a big part of your life, like to most people. I don't rely on phones for the highest level of video quality. I use a fancy video camera. Even this camera is much better than your phone. This is a Canon G7X. It's much better than your phone. Okay, so and it's not very big either. Okay, you can see this is not big. So if I'm gonna, you should see my gimbaled camera. It's an Osmo Pocket. It's really tiny. I mean, why would I need a phone for that? I mean, that is much better. So I don't want to spend $1,400 on an iPhone just because they say it's good for video. My Osmo Pocket is 340 some bucks. Okay, it takes better video than the iPhone. It's 4K. I don't need to spend $1,400 on that. My phones are from $269 to $299. I mean, you can have several of those for one iPhone. So no, I don't. Don't expect my phones, the ones that I sell, to be super powered with cameras and all that, because that is not the intent. The intent is just to have a little bit of privacy and use these devices that are not connected to the internet. Even though they want to sell you the device that does everything, the fact of the matter is they're not safe. These are a lot safer. They're not connected to the internet. Okay? So, the metadata, there's no GPS on it. It can't really do anything for you. Lax Lifters, thank you. Thoughts on IPFS networks, decentralized computing, and using Bitcoin and Ethereum to run tasks and taking power from the big data companies. There's going to be a bandwidth and data problem. I don't know what an IPFS network is. It must be some new crypto thing. I use IP2P. P2P, IP2P. which is like an internet over the internet. And again, it's not used much. Tor is still used more. So as much as it's great for experimenting, we're not there yet. And there's at some point, if we can just get everyone to use a mesh network, we can actually avoid the internet. I, Different topic, but I have a video on mesh networks, and if we actually all agree that every one of us will buy a router, mesh network, we can actually mesh network the world without internet. And then we're going to be free. But it requires a lot of people to do it, because in order for you to, share data back and forth, we all need to be on it. So there has to be one within reach. So everyone and your neighbor has to get one of these mesh network things. And if you do, then we don't need the internet. We can have our own private network. It's just like Tor. Yeah, well, like IP2P, same thing. Just like Tor. But is it going to take hold? Unfortunately, Tor is very popular in comparison. Yeah, anytime you have interplanetary file system, anytime you have immutable blockchain-based file storage, I kind of worry, because you're basically keeping permanent metadata. So just because it's immutable, it's good for public things, like, things that are of benefit to the public, but for private things, it's not, you don't want that. You want mutable data storage. For mutable, meaning you can delete it, for things that you do yourself. But if it's something public, like a public document, yes, you want it to be immutable. And there are many places already for that, even with blockchain. Let's see. I need a new phone. I should buy in 2020. No, just get the Google phone cheap. The Google phones I sell you are, again, 259 for Pixel, an older Pixel, to 299 for a G7 or a brand new Pixel. And it's the safest phone that you can have outside of a Linux phone, which I don't have any way of making right now. So given the fact that it just is ultra safe and it's so inexpensive, it's such a bargain. $299 for a completely safe phone. I can't make enough of it. My problem is we're getting stock. It's not that you guys don't want it. Apparently, many of you want one, and it's a problem of getting stock. So maybe next year I won't be able to get G7s. I have to pick another model. So, but at the moment, it's for $269 to $299 for a phone, instead of paying $700 to $1,400 for a phone. My goodness, and have it safe. It's a pretty good situation. Let's see. Pixel's a good choice. The reason I have to offer a Pixel, and by the way, I've made available in some cases a brand new Pixel. So if some of you are worried about me selling you a used phone, where the battery may not be the best, I do have brand new Pixels that I can get, and they're more expensive. So I sell those for $299, brand new. They're brand new. They've never been used. So which means the batteries are brand new, and I opened them from the box, completely sealed. And a Pixel's not a new phone, but it's perfectly fine for what we need to do. Pixels are great phones. So I offer them the Pixels because they work in the US for Verizon. So some of you don't want to use a G7 or G7 Play because it doesn't work in the US for Verizon. So Pixel works with Verizon, and I sell them used, in good condition, or brand new. In good condition, they may have some minor scratches on the case. Otherwise, I don't sell. It's got to be like minor blemish stuff. But the brand new Pixels are brand new. They've never been used, so the batteries are brand new. Do Google phones work in? Yes, many people have bought the phones for the UK. I've shipped many in the UK. You're from the EU. Pulled, is that pulled them? Yeah, I've shipped it. I've shipped many to the EU. Actually, the G7 that I sell is a EU phone, and in fact, it comes with an EU power plug. So it's from Europe. It's actually designed for Europe, and we just use it in the U.S. Thank you, Michael Seeley. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the channel. By the way, thank you to all the people who've supported me on Patreon, and those who buy the products, and those who contribute to Super Chat, and some of you are even giving direct donations on PayPal. This is just so awesome. Thank you so much. You just don't understand that this is so hard to do what I do, and I'm only one guy here, and I actually gave up making a lot of money doing what I do because of my passion that this is something, I need to spread the word. I am a successful software architect, and I decided I don't want to do that anymore, and I wanted to do this and spread the word. And when I did this, I had to capitalize on doing this for many years without basically making any income, and it's been very, very difficult. So I appreciate it so much when you guys support this channel. The channel is growing, and looks like it's going to be self-sustaining now. If you guys keep supporting it, it's going to really be allow me to focus on the content, and I really, really appreciate it. Your auto monitors are Rokit KRK, cheap. They've been around. I've had them for a while. I'm a musician, so I'm a musician. So in case you didn't know, I'm a jazz pianist. So I haven't played music in a while because no gigs, because of the COVID situation. Hit that like. Thank you, Just Busted. Yes, very few of you have hit like. You're at. I'm sure hundreds of you have been here. Some of you have come and gone, and only a few of you have hit the like button. So yes, if you're learning from something from my channel, you may want to hit that like button, because it actually convinces the algorithm that the channel is worth supporting. I know how that's nice. I play guitar. We cool to jam. Yeah, just I run a jam session actually. If you play jazz, you can go join the jam session, but not right now because of COVID. Just found you. Hello, Keith. We'll hit it right now. Thank you. Thanks for what you. Thank you, Fred. Hopefully I talk about emerging technology when emerging tech. Yep. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Technocracy. Technocracy. Is that how you say that? Would you ever consider selling Xperia phones running? The problem with Jola with Sailfish, Javon Sims, is that it's only available in the EU, so it's not something I can sell. So I don't know why they have that policy, but I don't have any access to it, and so it's not something I can sell here. But performance-wise, the Google phone will be a lot faster than a Sailfish. So like the phones I'm selling are brand new, so they're octa-core G7s. They're very fast phones. So, in comparison to an older Xperia, which is not that old, but still, yeah, it's not available for me. Ken, thank you, Ken. And Ken got his phone, finally. Ken's phone got shipped to all parts of the U.S. for unknown reasons. When he doesn't live there, it got shipped to areas where he doesn't live in, and I'm like wondering what the zuck is wrong with the post office. It's like you live in Alaska and they're gonna ship it to Florida. Why? Well, there's a post office for you. Um, I'm thinking about creating a LoRa device so I can communicate with my friends. Uh, I don't know. Maybe you just need HF radio, then you can communicate with everyone. Uh, I want tracking gone. Yes. Okay, let me see what I miss here. Do your phone ship with root access enabled? No, I do not root the phones. The phones are not rooted. You don't want a rooted phone because someone could, you know, even if I can root the phone, they're not ship rooted. So you don't want that. So phones should, when you get them, phones should not be rooted. Cosmic Rose, what did you say, Cosmic Rose? Please help the algorithm share. Thank you, Cosmic Rose. You missed my question, but I'd like to know how much would you charge to build a Stingray? I can't. I'm not going to build a Stingray for you. Uh, you know, I'm sure it's not legal. I am not an open source advocate. I'm a free libre software advocate. That's good, Philip. That's good. Do we need to really worry about smart TVs? Uh, if you're worried about tracking from smart TVs, it's kind of limited what they can do with a smart TV. Unfortunately, the CIA can listen in on a smart TV, and that's really what I'm more concerned about. Not the tracking of what you watch, because who cares? There's not enough information on that. Yeah, so I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about the fact that they can actually turn on the microphone, turn the speakers into a microphone and listen into you, which is probably not a threat, to normal people. But um, if you're important, then someone might hack your TV. Do you know about the Google Moto G7 Play outgoing call? My problem? No. Would you consider selling Xperia? What did I miss here? Gold clap to the man with Stingray comment. You should play something live. I do on Periscope. I play music on Periscope app. So you can follow me on the Periscope app. By the way, I also have a Twitter account. You can follow me on Twitter, Rob Braxman Tech, I believe. Is that my handle on Twitter now? Rob Braxman Tech. So yeah, follow my Twitter account so you can see what I'm up to. Follow my Twitter account. Let's see. You're still having problems with your mic, King Sing? I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I use a G7 Play myself, and I don't really have any issues. I already told you there is a known bug with it, where you have to hit the volume button. But other than that, I don't really have any issue with it. Works fine. I mean, I use it every day. So I like the form factor of the Play, even though there's a few bugs with it. It doesn't really bother me. For what it does for me, I don't like the big G7 for myself, because some people like the big phones. I don't. I like a smaller phone, and so the G7 Play is better for me. And I don't really have any issues. I use it every day, like I told you. And I use the phone, and I use my voice. I use Bluetooth. I use everything on it. I use music. I play Spotify. I use Kindle on it. I mean, I can even use Waze on it. And I don't normally need to use Waze, but because my car has navigation, so I don't even need it. But if I had to use Waze runs fine on the phone. And so I can do pretty much anything that I would ever need to do on a phone, because I don't want to do much on the phone. I want to make you guys use your computer more. Computers are harder to get information from. So we need to go back to the old days where we use computers more and phones less. I'm probably going against the flow here, but that's what I recommend. How long before book burnings? Can you spy on Bluetooth audio devices? No, no. Bluetooth audio devices have no information. No, no, that is just not worth worrying about. No, your phone is different because there's other stuff on the phone that matches your identity. Bluetooth, earphones and headsets and all that. No, that's not an issue. Besides, they're Bluetooth servers, not clients. It's a client that pings. Your identity is sent out by the requester, the one that's sending the data, and that's the phone, not the earset. So don't worry about those. Let's see. You love the G7 power. I cannot do G7 powers. I just want to make sure that's clear. There are very specific models of G7. I only do Motorola G7, Motorola G7 Play. I do not do G7 Power, G7 Plus, G6. I don't do any of that. It's very specific. G7 only and G7 Play only. I can do all the different models of G7. There's different models of that. That's some for European, USA markets and so on, Indian markets. They're all usable. I can do all the plays. There's only one model play and they're all the same. And they all work. But power and all that, no. In fact, they don't even sell power in the US. So you have to buy them from eBay. So no power. You don't need power because what happens is when you use a G7 Play, the battery life doubles when you de-Google it. It's a very funny thing. The battery life on a de-Google phone is twice as long as a non-de-Google phone. I only charge my G7 Play every 2 days. And I use it a lot. I read Kindle on it constantly. 2 days. How long? Okay, what am I missing here? Hold on a second here. Is it easy to spoof Bluetooth trusted devices? No. It's VPN. Besides, it's a useless kind of attack. Why would you want a Stingray? If you're a bad guy, you would want a Stingray. A VPN is almost never worth it. That's a very strange comment. A VPN is essential. Does Windows spy on you? Because of the limited information on a computer, whatever it spies on is not as much detail as a website spying on you with your IP address. So Windows spying is kind of limited and you can turn it off. So when I use Windows 10, everything is off on it. And so it's actually very limited what Windows can do to you compared to a phone. It's like, almost a 10-to-1 ratio of data on a phone versus a computer. So although a computer can spy on you, it's 10-to-1 ratio. The only thing that really can spy on you in a big way is your IP address. I Google Crossbow is the new version. There's Stingray. There's what's the name of the new one after that? They're all like sea creatures, and then they changed to Crossbow. I don't know why they went from sea creatures to Crossbow, but that's just the same thing, newer model. Good firewalls require cell phones to be rooted. No. Why do you need a good firewall? What is the purpose of that? I just use NetGuard. NetGuard's fine. A paid for VPN like Nord or something. Well, my VPN is paid for. Don't use a free one because a free one is not really a VPN. They're usually proxies. So one of you are leaving negative comments about me and my VPN and say, don't promote VPNs. It's like, don't spread stupid comments like that. If you don't have a VPN, what's your option? So it's like, I wish there was some option, but it's either a VPN or that's it. Would some shady people show up at your door if you have a Stingray. Uh, Stingray, is probably within the range of what the FCC could control. So it would be illegal to do Stingray. You'd need, I have a ham license, so I could probably do some levels of Stingray, but not an official Stingray. Did they ever fix WPA3? The standards were fixed, however it's implemented, I don't know yet, because, somebody will find their hack to it. So WPA3 has been slow to move. Lockdown from iOS is a great firewall too. Well, yeah, but why are you using iOS? There's nothing positive to say about iOS. It's coming from a guy that used iOS mostly for the last few years. Okay? I have nothing positive to say because they're going to contact trace you now. So, no zucking way. I'm not using iOS. My iOS phone stays zucking home. I have many iOS devices. They're just home. They will never leave the house. They will never do contact tracing because they're just going to stay home. I like the way McAfee uses Wi-Fi. He doesn't just use Wi-Fi. He uses a botnet, I'm sure. He and I know, when I was talking to McAfee, I said, I know what you're doing, but it's, not legal in the U.S. And he acknowledged the fact that it's legal where he is, and which means I know what he's doing, and what he's doing is a botnet, meaning hack computers, and you're passing your traffic through hack computers all over the world, which is not legal here to do. So some hackers do this. So some actually go to DEF CON and boast that they're using a botnet for their, instead of a VPN, they're using a botnet, which is, cool that they can do that. But why would you admit that openly? My goodness, that's illegal. So I don't use that, and whether I admit it or not, I will never use it just because I stay within the law. I don't do things that are against the law. Are proxies relevant anymore? Or some people actually come up with videos saying, don't use a VPN, use a zucking proxy, which is unzucking encrypted, and someone can watch your traffic. Why the zuck would you ever use a zucking proxy? I have no idea. What about G8? No idea. G8 is not supported. Do you recommend Waze Maps? With a Google phone, you can use whatever if it works. It doesn't matter what it is, King Sing. If you have a Google phone, use whatever works. If it doesn't work, then you can't use it. If it works, good. Because it can't steal information. You have no zucking phone identity. We're running out of time here. I'm down to, can you use a Raspberry Pi as a cloud server? Yeah, but why? What are you using it for? Storage? You could do that, but I wouldn't use a cloud server in my house to be accessed from outside, because then you'd have to do port forwarding and open up your network. That's not a good security thing. So I'd rather use an external service and run my servers externally, just so my server is not, my own household is not open. Do you trust NetGuard VPN? I don't know what a NetGuard VPN is. I use NetGuard, not a NetGuard VPN. Gaps in carrier bloat decrease your phone's efficiency by 40%. I'd say that is definitely true. I tell you, the battery life, and that's because of the Wi-Fi scanning and all the different tracking things they do, really use up a lot of battery, which shows you how much tracking they do. Hello, Bob Kazuski. Is embedded browsing actually traceable through Tor and VPN? I don't know what embedded browsing means. I don't know what that means. You have to define what that means. Embedded as a iframe? What does embedded browsing mean? embedded meaning like WebView. WebView is just a browser, no different. So proxies would use, uh, do not use a proxy, period. VPN is much better than a proxy, and pretty much all VPNs will not, will not do logs, not probably 90% of them, and they all use the same software, which is OpenVPN. So you know they're it's a matter of trust with every single VPN. Now, so if you trust me, you can use my VPN, which is Bytes VPN, bytz.vpn. No, bytzvpn.com. Sorry. But don't use proxies. There's absolutely no reason. For those of you who are in Australia they actually do proxies by zucking default. So if you go with their carrier, which is Telstra, and you put in a Telstra modem in your house, they actually proxy server everything that you do on your house into Telstra. That means that they're spying on everything that you zucking do. So if some of you are saying, well, proxies are great. Well, go to Zucking Australia and where they proxy everything. You think that's great? Where a central authority can see all of your proxy actions in a proxy server? Proxy servers were used way back in the early internet to speed up the internet. They're not made for privacy at all. They have nothing to do with privacy. Proxies zuck. Do you know Anonymous? What the zuck does that mean? I am Anonymous. The group Anonymous as well. I am. Where's my Anonymous? You mean this? Laura is Cactus Sparkle. Oh my gosh. How would I know that? Cactus Sparkle, how are you, my friend? My goodness. See, I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't even recognize your profile pic, Cactus Sparkle. But I guess when you go into YouTube, I wouldn't know that. Why should I be threatened if I'm being contact traced? Well, Sharon, you do have a lot to learn. You really do, because you ask questions like, why do I care if my location is being tracked? You have no fucking idea. You really do. This is really the problem, my friend. This is the problem with the world, because this. I know you're trying to learn, but most people don't care. They say, "Well, I don't understand the value of this." Well, I'm going to tell you something. I can create a profile of you just from locations. I will know a lot of information about you just as long as I know where you go and who you associate with, especially specific individuals. I will know so much about you. I can actually guess what you're going to do next. I'll probably even know how you vote. I will statistically know so much about you that I can actually manipulate you just from locations. I will know if you have a disease. I'll know what kind of job you do. I'll know if you're rich or poor. I mean, that's the whole point. Why do I need to give that kind of information to somebody, and why should I allow them to manipulate me and give me messages targeted to what they think I am and influence things about me instead of me getting my information independently? So when you do that, Shiva, when you allow people to collect your information, you basically lose your freedom. You are allowing people to manipulate you. You're allowing Facebook to know everything about you. Say, I know what this guy believes. Then let me go pump him a bunch of fake news because I know I can, trigger him. If I know what can be used to trigger you, I can control populations, control votes, control how the world moves, control opinions. My goodness, man, it's not about you as an individual. You got to think about the big picture, about the danger of all this. Privacy is a major, major thing about freedom. Privacy is freedom. Okay, I'm down to, I still have 20 minutes. 20 minutes. So, again, there's been hundreds of you here. Many, many hundreds, I'm sure, have been in this broadcast. If you are if you like this channel and like the content, please hit that like on the video. So you know, in this world, everything is judged by an algorithm. It's actually the algorithm that decides if my channel is going to succeed. It's they don't really give you the choice. The choice is made by the algorithm. So, and the algorithm says, let me get clues. Is YouTube going to make money? So they watch you, and based on what you do, then the algorithm decides if my channel should get promoted. So please, let's go manipulate the algorithm instead of the algorithm manipulating us. So we can do that by you helping me with likes and so on, or dislikes, something. If you hit the like or dislike, then you actually are putting your vote in to say you're going to decide and not the algorithm. Proxies don't encrypt. Correct. That's correct. What is your opinion of Ghost? No, I don't have any opinion for Ghost VPN. The one guy with a mustache. Hello. Rob is more concerned with privacy violations of 5G by zucking default. I buy 20 at a time. 20 what do you buy? Most Amazon tablet OSs are based on Android and use a lot of Google's tracking capabilities, utilities. So don't use Amazon tablets. Use de-Googled everything. Is there a safe GNU Linux tablet? There's one called BQ. Oops, I'm running out of battery. Hold on. Which is in Europe, but can't get that here. Hold on, battery's running low. Forgot to plug it in. Oh my gosh. Why did I do that? I forgot to plug in my computer. Sometimes I make this mistake where, you know, I just get it going and then I forgot to do the power to the computer. Hopefully this will last a few minutes here. We got like 15 minutes, so hopefully I got enough power for 15 minutes. Where'd that? I can't find the power. Hopefully I don't disconnect. So hold on a second. Just I plugged in some power, but I'm not sure it's good enough. So I'm looking for a bigger power supply source. I didn't find it, but I just it's temporary here. So I may get disconnected, but we're close to the end. So no, Bytes VPN was what you should do. Bytes VPN. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. I couldn't find the power. I could not find the power. I finally found the power. So sorry about that. We can go on for another 13 minutes. So sorry about that. Let me know. You can see me? Okay, good. Sorry. So, okay, okay, there we go. So again, sorry about the disruption there. I had to look for the the power. Often I just plug in and it works, and then I forget that the computer is not on power. Is the camera working? Are you saying the camera is not working? Still image? Okay, let me restart. Hold on a second. Okay, I can't get the camera to work. So I don't know what happened here, but I just didn't want to leave without saying anything. So I can't get the camera to work right now. So, and I know we're out of time. So I guess we're going to have to call it a night. And I really, really apologize for this. My fault. I did not uh, plug in the computer and it ran out of power. So, and then some other complexities happened that I can't debug in 2 minutes here. So, something else happened, and maybe something got unplugged from my walk moving around. So then I lost everything. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'm sorry for the technical difficulties here. So, is is VPN good for public Wi-Fi? No, you should not use public Wi-Fi, but a VPN over public Wi-Fi is fine. Okay, so yeah, so I don't know. No, it's not the feds. It's when I was fiddling around here, I unplugged something. So I don't know. It's gonna take a while to go figure out what's going on. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the video next Thursday. Try to standardize and doing it on Thursday, so I'll catch you with a video on Thursday, and then we'll see you back on Friday. Sorry about this, and I will see about preventing it next time.